to liberate the people of Libya because Gaddafi is a dictator. Gaddafi is unaliving his people. Gaddafi is this and that. And they use that narrative as the ground where they work on and then unalive Gaddafi. Those days are past.
Hello everyone. Today we're unpacking a story that is shaking the very foundations of Africa's political landscape. A story filled with mystery, danger, and high-stakes geopolitics. It's about an alleged plot to assassinate Burkina Faso's resilient president, Ibrahim Traoré. But this isn't merely a localized incident. It's a reflection of a larger, ongoing struggle that defines the continent's present and shapes its future. Behind this narrative lies a complex web of external interference, covert operations, and internal resistance. A relentless battle for control over Africa's resources, sovereignty, and destiny. As we peel back the layers of this story, we'll explore historical parallels, the legacy of resistance, and the urgent need for African unity and self-determination. If you care about Africa's future, global justice, and uncovering truths hidden beneath layers of propaganda, make sure to subscribe, like, and ring that notification bell. Together, let's navigate this intricate web of politics and power. Africa's history is marred by centuries of colonization, exploitation, and manipulation. From the infamous scramble for Africa in the late 19th century, where European powers carved up the continent like a pie, to the post-independence struggles of the 20th century, Africa has often been a battleground for imperial interests disguised as development or aid. Yet, amid these dark chapters, there have been shining moments of resistance. Leaders like Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, Patrice Lumumba of Congo, and Muammar Gaddafi of Libya dared to challenge external dominance and envision a continent free of neo-colonial chains. Sankara, often called the African Che Guevara, championed self-reliance, anti-corruption, land reform, and regional unity. Lumumba, the first prime minister of independent Congo, fought for African sovereignty against foreign interference. Gaddafi's Pan-African vision aimed to unite the continent economically and politically, challenging the dominance of Western powers. Today, a new generation of African leaders and youth are echoing these visions. The phrase "Africa for Africans" is more than a slogan. It's a rallying cry for sovereignty, resource control, and self-determined development. President Ibrahim Traoré embodies this renewed spirit. As a young, resilient leader, he's standing firm in the face of external pressures, fighting terrorism, corruption, and foreign influence while advocating for resource sovereignty and Pan-African unity. His stance threatens the interests of those who want Africa to remain a resource-exporting, externally controlled continent. The shadow of Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi's name remains etched in history as a symbol of Pan-Africanism and resistance. His vision of a united Africa, culminating in the United States of Africa, posed a direct threat to Western economic and strategic interests. Gaddafi's push for a single African currency, his efforts to nationalize Africa's natural resources, and his calls for regional integration challenged the global order. His leadership embodied a desire for independence and economic sovereignty that Western powers found threatening. His overthrow in 2011, orchestrated through NATO-led intervention, was not merely about regime change, it was about dismantling Africa's push for independence. The narrative spun was about dictatorship and human rights abuses, but the real motive was safeguarding economic interests, access to Africa's vast resources, and strategic control. The brutal death of Gaddafi served as a warning. It sent a chilling message to leaders who dared to challenge external dominance. Today, the echoes of his legacy continue. Leaders who resist external influence, advocate for resource sovereignty, or promote regional unity are often targeted, either overtly or covertly. The alleged plot to assassinate President Traoré echoes this dark history. Might it be an attempt by external forces to eliminate a leader who refuses to conform? Or a warning to others who seek independence? The shadows behind such plots are long, and their implications are profound. The alleged plot. Recent reports of an assassination attempt against President Ibrahim Traoré have sent shockwaves through Burkina Faso and across Africa. While concrete evidence remains elusive, shrouded in secrecy and propaganda, the pattern of external interference in African politics suggests that such plots are, unfortunately, not unprecedented. External powers, primarily Western nations with vested economic and geopolitical interests, have historically engaged in covert operations to destabilize, discredit, or eliminate leaders who challenge their dominance. Support for opposition groups, propaganda campaigns, and even direct military interventions have been tools of this covert arsenal. For instance, the assassination of Patrice Lumumba in Congo, the overthrow of Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso, and the NATO-led destruction of Gaddafi's Libya serve as grim reminders. In this context, the alleged plot against Traoré could be part of this long-standing pattern. Leaders who stand against external control, calling for resource nationalism, regional integration, or anti-imperialist policies are viewed as threats. The narrative of trying to destabilize or protect national security is often a cover for external interests seeking to maintain dominance. Africa's vulnerability to external manipulation is rooted in historical patterns. Colonial powers transitioned into neo-colonial influences, maintaining control through economic dependency, military alliances, and political meddling. In recent decades, Western countries have relied on a combination of soft power, media narratives, diplomatic pressure, aid conditionalities, and hard power, military interventions, covert operations, to influence African politics. The case of Libya's Gaddafi exemplifies this. His push for African unity and a pan-African economic system threatened Western control over Africa's resources. His proposal for a single African currency and his efforts to nationalize resources challenged the global economic order. Similarly, in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and other countries, external actors support puppet regimes or opposition factions to fragment African unity and maintain resource control. The ongoing destabilization efforts are not accidental. They are part of a calculated strategy to weaken Africa's independence. The alleged plot against Traoré fits into this pattern. If external actors perceive him as a threat, due to his resistance to terrorism, his resource nationalist policies, or his pursuit of Pan-African ideals, they may resort to covert operations to eliminate or weaken him. The rise of Pan-African consciousness. Amidst these external machinations, a powerful awakening is sweeping across Africa. The youth, once dismissed as naive or easily manipulated, are now a formidable force for change. Social media, grassroots activism, and regional solidarity are fueling a renaissance of Pan-African consciousness. The mantra, "Unite Africa, Leave Africa Alone," and "Africa is for Africans," has become a rallying cry for a continent reclaiming its identity and sovereignty. This generation recognizes that their future depends on unity, resource control, and self-reliance. Inspired by historic figures like Sankara, Lumumba, and Gaddafi, they see their struggles as part of a broader fight against external domination. The youth's activism is not just symbolic, it's strategic, demanding economic independence, regional integration through bodies like the African Union, and an end to external meddling. Africa's history is riddled with examples of external interference and internal resilience. Patrice Lumumba's assassination in 1961, orchestrated by Western powers unhappy with his Pan-African stance, exemplifies this. His death was a blow to the continent's push for independence. Thomas Sankara's revolutionary government sought to transform Burkina Faso into a self-sufficient, sovereign nation. His anti-corruption campaigns, land reforms, and regional solidarity made him a target. His life cut short during a coup backed by foreign interests. Gaddafi's vision of a united Africa and his efforts to create a regional economic bloc threatened external dominance. His violent removal in 2011 was a culmination of decades of covert destabilization. These stories serve as stark warnings. Leaders who challenge external interests risk their lives and legacies. The ongoing threats against Traoré are part of this continuum, an existential struggle for Africa's sovereignty. The role of African leaders. Today's African leaders face a delicate balancing act. They must address internal issues, poverty, insecurity, corruption, while resisting external influence that seeks to undermine their authority. President Traoré's stance exemplifies this courage. He champions resource sovereignty, regional unity, and anti-terrorism efforts, often facing external pressures to conform or step down. The call for international support signifies that Africa's strength lies in collective resistance. When leaders stand firm, they inspire their people and set a precedent for others to follow. However, external pressures are relentless. Covert operations, propaganda, and political destabilization are tools used to weaken independent-minded leaders. Vigilance and unity are crucial. The youth are no longer passive spectators in Africa's political arena. They are active agents of change. Their social media campaigns, protests, and community organizing challenge entrenched interests and foster a new consciousness. They understand that sovereignty isn't just about government policies. It's about cultural pride, economic independence, and regional solidarity. They reject narratives that seek to divide and conquer. In their chants, One Africa, Stop External Interference, Africa for Africans, resides a powerful message. Africa is awakening, and its future depends on collective effort. While external interference and internal corruption pose significant challenges, Africa's potential is enormous. The continent boasts the world's youngest population, abundant natural resources, and increasing technological access. To harness this potential, African nations must strengthen regional institutions like the African Union to promote unity, peace, and security. Diversify economies to reduce dependence on resource exports and promote local industries. Foster transparent and accountable leadership committed to the people's well-being. Resist external narratives aimed at division and disempowerment. Invest in education, infrastructure, and technology to empower the youth and stimulate innovation. The alleged plot against Traoré underscores the urgency of vigilance. External enemies will persist, but Africa's collective will can prevail if unity, resilience, and strategic vision are prioritized. This ongoing shadow game reminds us, Africa's sovereignty is fragile, but not fragile enough to be broken. The continent must remain vigilant against external meddling, be it covert operations, propaganda, or economic manipulation. It's time to translate slogans into concrete actions. Support leaders committed to sovereignty and regional integration. Build resilient institutions that serve the people, not external interests. Educate and empower the youth to be active participants in nation building. Foster continental unity through economic policies, cultural exchanges, and security cooperation. The spirit of Pan-Africanism, strengthened through history and driven by hope, must be rekindled. Africa's future depends on the collective resolve of its people. The alleged plot against Ibrahim Traoré is more than a conspiracy theory. It's a stark reminder that Africa's fight for independence continues. External powers see the continent's wealth and potential as a threat, something they are willing to go to great lengths to suppress. But Africa's greatest strength lies in its resilience, its unity, and its unwavering commitment to self-determination. The sacrifices of past heroes and the rising consciousness of today's youth form a powerful foundation for the continent's future. This story calls us all to action, to stand united, to defend our leaders and resources, and to build an Africa that is truly free and self-reliant. The fight is ongoing, but with collective effort, the continent's destiny is ours to shape.